Okay, welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed that footage. Shauna did an excellent job in editing that footage.
And you did an excellent job in taking that footage.
Well, thank you, Shauna. I hear an echo. You hear an echo?
Let's just go.
Okay, we'll go. Keep going. Well, I'll tell you who else did a great job.
Doc Pritchett.
And Mrs. Pritchett.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was awesome. We were very privileged to have a chance to get that, because what that reflects is the work that Mr. and Mrs. Pritchett have been doing in the community through Pritchett Associates.
Right, exactly.
And in speaking to work being done in the community, we are really blessed tonight.
Very blessed and honored.
We have joining us Chris Coons,
who is running for Senate for our United States. So, Mr. Coons, actually, you said call you Chris.
Yeah, he said.
So we'll call you Chris.
And we have
Doc
Pritchett joining us for this segment as well, and he's going to be coming back also for On the Road with Doc Pritchett. But you know, it's very interesting. First of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
Shauna, I'm sorry if I cut in front of you.
It's all right.
You can smack me later, but I'm excited. But I'm going to manage that because I think what's interesting is that Chris and Mr. Pritchett, they have a history.
Yes. About 20 years.
They have a history in regards to working together for our community.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that, Chris.
Well, when I was living and working in New York City, this was probably 22 years ago.
22.
I met a great young woman, Crystal Nix, who I'd known a little bit growing up here. Theophilus Nix was her father. She was native of Wilmington. She was working in New York at the time. And we actually drove home together one weekend for Thanksgiving. We got in this long argument on the drive home about how you could make anything better. Can anything change? What's it take to improve education? And she said to me, you really need to talk to my roommate from college, whose family's doing this thing in Chicago called the I Have a Dream program. And I went back to New York, and I'd called her friend, and we had a long conversation. Then I went and met this man, Gene Lang, who was the founder of the I Have a Dream program in New York City. And I still remember the moment I walked out of his office thinking, wow, so that's what I'm going to go do with the next decade of my life. He's an incredibly inspiring man. He'd grown up in Harlem himself in the Depression, had gone to college on a scholarship, had gone to Swarthmore, and it changed his life. And many, many years later, he got asked to go back to the elementary school that he'd graduated from, PS 121, up on 125th Street. And it's a long story, but he ended up offering college tuition scholarships to the graduating 6th graders, kids who were graduating 5th to 6th grade, which is a ceremony they do in New York. And then offered them mentoring and tutoring, summer programs and things to engage their parents. And it had a dramatic impact. It really turned around how many of those kids had an expectation of going to college, how many of them actually went to college, how many of them got on the right path early. So I moved home to Delaware and started trying to figure out how you could pull together a similar program here in Delaware. And I met with Art Boswell very early on, who at that point was running People Settlement, was an incredible guy, and he said, you've got exactly the right partner in Maurice Pritchett. If you get a chance to sit down, if he's on board with you, I'm fine with you. If he doesn't buy it, forget it. I'm not going anywhere with you. I came over and he took a chance on a skinny kid who had a lot of hair at the time. This was probably almost literally 20 years ago. And we spent a couple months talking about how to raise the money, how to structure it, how to choose the kids, where they should come from, getting to know his school, getting to know my family, and getting to know People Settlement. And ultimately, I think it was March 15th, 1989. We had a kickoff in the cafeteria. Actually, a reception with the parents and the kids first. And then we went to the auditorium and sort of kicked it off. And put a whole lot of time in together, working with about 45 kids, mostly from the east side of Wilmington. And I'm still in regular touch with a dozen of them today. In fact, it was just one of them, Latasha Newton, we both know well and stayed in touch with. Was just with Kizzy last week. She had a loss. Her mom passed away. And her mom, Marie, was quite a fighter. And,
yes, she was.
And quite a determined lady. And a whole group of those dreamers came up together, and as they had challenges in their lives, as they moved to different schools, as family circumstances changed, they stayed close-knit. We had a wonderful person who helped run the program with us, Liz Pritchett, who was a teacher in the Christina School District and was very dedicated to kids. Pete Vassos was your assistant principal.
Yes, yes.
Was an amazing partner. Mr. Pritchett and Mr. Vassos were a great tag team for the kids and ran a wonderful school. You know personally, but anybody who's watching or hasn't seen it, Mr. Pritchett has enormous respect in the community and among kids and parents. In fact, a number of our Dreamer parents had been your students when they were students.
That's correct.
That's what 30 years of being the principal of Bancroft was all about.
Yes, right.
And we tried to work with the teachers in the school to provide supplementary funding for evening programs, for summer programs. We tried to provide basic skills training in math and reading and social studies, literature, world studies, and then in the summers to do extra things, to go and visit